Yo, what's good YouTube, man? It's Gary with the Fan TV, man. Back at you with a video. Like the content, the video, go smash that like button at the content of this channel. Go and subscribe, man. Look, the Ravens absolutely dominate the Buffalo Bills 35-10 in the game that was, yeah, pretty much domination from start to finish, man. That's how we gonna go with it, right? So, Derrick Henry has 199 yards rushing on the ground. The defense plays lights out for large parts of the game, right? So we're gonna talk about it, man. Give a couple stand-up performance, things like that, right? So this video is gonna be 95% positive, right? But I want to talk about two things that the Ravens still got to clean up, okay? Or that I didn't like from the game. Number one, penalties. 8 penalties for 79 yards, right? The Ravens are still, I believe, far and away the most penalized team in the NFL, okay? Some of that is referees' bad calls. Some of that is on the Ravens themselves. They got to clean that up, all right? Number two, the Ravens have gone back to running Lamar Jackson, which is fine. He's the most athletic quarterback in NFL history. Cool. But they've gone back to doing it in between the tackles, right? He fumbled, trying to juke somebody. I mean, he tried to get to the edge on that one, but still, I would like for the Ravens to refrain from running Lamar Jackson in between the tackles. All right? Let's keep him on the edge. Let's keep him outside. If we all run between tackles, let's do it how they did early in the game when it was like QB draw, right? No issue with that. Okay, so those are my two main, I would say, gripes from the game. All right, now on to the positivity, man. All right, so listen, man. This is a straight up Derrick Henry game, right? That's stand up performance number one. I want to talk about Derrick Henry, right? So we're talking about. Well, let me get the Ravens stats right here. Sorry, 24 carries, 199 yards, 8.3 yards a carry. Only one touchdown. Should have had a couple of more, right? But got stuck to the goal line a couple times. Actually fumbled, but Ravens end up recovering, right? When it's your night, it's your night, all right? Derrick Henry starts the game off. Literally, the Ravens' first paper scrimmage goes 87 yards, untouched, right? I mean, this is a guy that's 6'3", 6'4", 250 pounds plus that he's running away from linebackers. He's running away from safeties. He's running away from cornerbacks. Like, all of these guys that are way significantly less than him. So, the athletic freak that Derrick Henry is, even at age 30, has not slowed down, right? So that was great to see. There was a little bit of a lull in the second quarter, like beginning the second quarter, and he picked it back up again, and then he was dominant the rest of the game, right? So when you bring Derrick Henry to Baltimore, when you bring Derrick Henry to your team, this is the kind of games you want to see, right? And then also, we got to give credit to the offensive line at the same time, right? So to me, this is one of the better games the offensive line has played, right? So I like what Rosengarten did at right tackle. He was really, really good there. Even McCarry had a holding call, I think in the second quarter, but I think that's Derrick Henry kind of bounced to the wrong side. He wasn't expecting that, so he ended up grabbing the defender. But McCarry was decent on the left side as well. We got to go back and watch it again. But so the Ravens didn't have to do too much in this game in terms of getting to their passing and things like that. But when it came to running the ball, we got Derrick Henry, your offensive line, playing how they did. Nothing but positive things to say, right? So that's Derrick Henry, number one stand-up performer from this game. And shout out to Derrick Henry, right? Number two, I'm going to give it to one person on the defense, right? And it's not a player. You know, the Ravens had tremendous players. We're going to talk about that as well. All right, but Zach Orr, right? This was by far Zach Orr's best coached game, okay? Now, why do I say that? We're talking about simulated pressure. We're talking about disguising coverages, right? We're talking about giving that feel of what the Ravens felt like under Mike Macdonald, right? We're not chasing what Mike Macdonald was for the team, but you do want the Ravens to be able to do some similar things, right? Just like I said, disguise coverages, sim pressure. There was multiple times this game where you would think the Ravens were sending 7, but they end up sending 4 or 5, but they're getting free rushes because they've confused the offensive line, right? That is how you do it, right? So this was by far Zach Orr's best called game, most complete game, I would say, by the defense, right? Now, Nate Wiggins dropped by 2 interceptions, right? That was part of my game preview, right? I said that Josh Allen will give you an opportunity 1 or 2 times a game. He will throw you the football. This game, he threw it to the Ravens about 3 times, right? The Ravens really didn't come down with any of them, okay? So, but yeah. I look at my keys to the game. I said physicality up front. That was about the offense and defense, but mainly about the offense. The offensive line did that. Very, very physical up front. Big gaping holes for Derrick Henry, right? When we talked about that the Bills' run defense really hadn't been tested this year. And when they were, by the Cardinals were able to run on them, right? The Bills have been in a positive game script this entire season. They haven't had to play from behind. They haven't had to play a team that can really just run the football on them. And the Ravens did that tonight, okay? And other one was D-line bringing Josh Allen to the ground. Now, there was some slip-ups here and there in doing that, but for the most part, besides that one big play he got to Khalil Shakir, the Ravens pretty much did an effective job bringing Josh Allen to the ground, right? And that also talks about my one of my experts I had for this game was Odafe Owe, right? So Odafe Owe picks up a sack. It was multiple times Odafe Owe was making great moves and being held that wasn't called. So Odafe Owe is really fully turning into the kind of player that we always wanted him to be, right? So that's great to see for the Ravens, not only for him but also for the Ravens in general, right? So that's awesome. Okay, when I think about this game, right, the Ravens showed why they can be a team that once again is a very very serious contender in the AFC and the NFL as a whole. Okay, when you can run the ball this effectively, when you have Lamar Jackson today, right? Let's look at Lamar Jackson's passing stats for a second. 13 to 18, 156, right? 2 touchdowns, right? And that's including a couple of drops, right? Bate had a drop in the end zone. Yes, he was held, but you like to see Washington come down with that ball, right? You know, I'm a Bateman defender, but I gotta be honest about that, right? Lamar threw an incredible pass down the left sideline to Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is worried about trying to get his feet in, drops it, okay? Mark Andrews, play action, crossing route. Hits him square in the hands, drops it, okay? So Ravens got to clean that up, right? But Lamar Jackson played an excellent game tonight. So not only was he efficient in the air, also had 6 carries, 54 yards, and a touchdown on the ground, right? So Lamar Jackson ends the game with 3 total touchdowns and really could have had 4 or 5, right? So good to great game all around for him. I think that some of these drops could be the fact that the wide receivers really haven't gotten to a rhythm. Well, pass catchers in general haven't really gotten to a complete rhythm, right? The running game has been so good the last couple of weeks that Ravens haven't really had to go deep into the passing bag yet, right? So hopefully when the time comes for that to happen, the pass catchers are ready, right? So for the Ravens, 21-3 in the second quarter, right, or late in the second quarter, right? You feel good about the game, okay? But your nervousness creeps in because you're like, well, the Ravens have blown this before, right? Second half in the second quarter, Harbaugh and Zach Orr combined for that mistake with the timeout that gives the Bills a free first down that was on 4th and 2, right? Then, nothing comes of that, right? The Ravens stop them, cool, 21-3 halftime. Then you come out the second half, you come out flat as we talk about some of the drops, right? I think the Zay Flowers was on that first drive. Martinez had an intentional grounding, and then the Bills scored 21-10, right? So now you're nervous, right? Ravens get the ball back, don't do anything with it again. But then the Bills mess up their entire momentum that they had going that game by doing a unnecessary trick play and Josh Allen strip sack. And once that strip sack happened, it was 21-10, but you felt like the game was over, right? Because the Bills were snatching momentum, and the Ravens finally, the defense stepped up and made a play, right? The Bills left the door open, and the Ravens took advantage of that, okay? So that play right there pretty much to me ended the game, right? So after that, the Ravens end up going, scoring more points right there, scoring 14 more, and really putting the seal on the game, right? So it's a good performance for the Ravens. Got to keep building because now y'all realize you're only 2-2, right? So you got the Bengals coming in here. You've just gotten back to 500. Keep winning, keep stacking, right? 2 more plays I want to talk about, and then we'll get out of here, right? Because there's not really many things to say about this game other than the Ravens were dominant. Well, really 3 more plays, right? Sorry. So Travis Jones, breakout season. We've been talking about it this entire season. He has been the Ravens' most dominant defensive lineman, right? He's been the most dominant guy, right? I mean, he's literally throwing people out the club, right? Domination. All right. Kyle Hamilton is back to his best, flying around, being used in different spots. He's coming up and hitting. All right. And then lastly, man, Justice Hill. Justice Hill played a great game today. Touchdown catch, clutch conversion on 3rd down. I mean, that 3rd and 7 he caught in the second half where he catches it really 7 yards short of the first down. Juke, spin move, get the first. I mean, an incredible individual effort by Justice Hill on that play. So the Ravens really played a good game tonight, but the scariest part is that they could be even better, right? Like I said, too many penalties. You got some drops in there. Just little mental mistakes. All right. So the Ravens clean that up. They're well on their way to being the dominant team that we expected them to be, right, coming into this year. So, that's my thoughts on the game, man. I'm happy that the Ravens dominated. I'm happy that the talent of this team is really finally starting to show, right? And listen, for all we say about John Harbaugh, right, and I'm one of them guys that's not happy with him most of the time, right? But his teams come show up and play against other good teams, right? It's very rare that we go against a good team and we just flat out embarrassed, right? It doesn't happen. Now, when you want to play, Ravens want to play teams that aren't as good as them, different story. But when the Ravens play teams of better or equal competition, they show up and play. So, you love to see that, right? Ravens go to 2-2 on Cincinnati, man. So, give me your thoughts in the comments, man. But it's Gabriel, this is Fan TV. I'm out.